Oh my gosh! I can't say anything. If I was on the computer, I'd be like, okay, this week's episode of Merlin. So throughout the week, they've been having really good spoilers. They've all been entertaining. And all the reviews have been giving this like 9 out of 10, saying this is an awesome episode, that, Anthony Head coming back is awesome, and Bradley James and Colin Morgan's performances are astounding. And I think it's great because, I really liked when Uther died. I loved the episode Wicked Day. When we watched it last year, I remember us being all like, oh, Arthur's birthday, and then being like, what? What just happened? What? Even though, in the previews we should have expected it, but we never really did. So I remember watching that one and being like, oh my god! And I wasn't quite like that from the get-go on this one, but it had me on edge, like, the whole time. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I was gonna say, there's been so much hype. This is gonna be a great episode, and I think it totally, lived up to it. And especially this is a great October episode with Halloween coming up. I think, if our Merlin had started later in the fall, it definitely would have been a great Halloween episode. But before I got into that, any more of the episode, I was going to say, on Tumblr, people are always talking about plot holes that Merlin has, and why it's not, like, I've seen people that have Merlin hate and saying it's not a great show, but, like, the plot's not great, some of it's cheesy, but I'm like, honestly, when you're sitting down to watch TV, I don't always want to think. I like being entertained. I don't care if the CGI is a little tacky sometime. It's gotten better. CGI's gotten better. And even Uther in the last few episodes, like, yeah, you can tell it's CGI, but she had a lot of emotion in her face, what you can call for the dragon's face. But I think it's gotten a lot better. And honestly, who really watches Merlin for its plot? I like plots. Sometimes really interesting. I do like the plots. But really, we all are watching it for the relationships, right? Like, whether it's the Merther, bromance or romance, I don't know. I like the bromance, but everyone roots for the romance. We like the relationship. Bradley and Colin have great chemistry together, and so Arthur and Merlin are amazing together, and we just want to hug them all the time. Even though they will never hug themselves. They'll just, hit each other with horseplay. Or Arwen. Even if you're an Arwen fan, I love Arthur and Guinevere. I think they're amazing. I don't know who my one true pair really is. I think it probably would be Merlin and Arthur, but they're bromance. I love them. And that's why people watch, is the relationships on the show. And see how they grow. And that's what we live for between each episodes, is to make GIFs, or GIFs, I guess is how they say it. Weird. I guess they want to separate it from the file GIF, but yeah, I digress. But yeah, okay, this episode. So in my notes, I begin with complaining about that we live in the US and we don't actually have Merlin yet, and so I'm complaining about the computer lag. I'm sorry, anyone who's in the US. I know I'm doing is illegal, but I'll watch it in January. I promise. I'll watch it on Sci-Fi. It's just I'm very impatient. So I talk about hating leg, and because the mouth gets off, and that bothers me really bad. But that's not about the episode. Gaius' hair. I just can't get over it. I look at it and I giggle. Like, your hair looks really funny. I like it better than the first few episodes of the first season where it's like yak hair. But Arthur and Uther. Oh, when he finally goes, when he goes to see his dad and whatever they called it, with the horn, he goes into the spirit world. He walks into the light. When he's all like, defending his knights and Gwen, he's like, I'm just doing what I think is right, and, I just want you to be proud of me, and Uther's all like, ah! And I'm like, oh, my baby, and it made me sad, but the acting there was so good. You could see just Arthur, Bradley James' face just start to crumble as Uther's like, what have you done to my Camelot? And all his, confidence that he had just starts to wilt, and you're like, oh, Arthur. And so I think good acting job there. Good job. It makes me sad, and I wanted to give him a hug, which I guess isn't rare, because I always want to give them hugs. This show does mix seriousness and humor well. Something Oh, when Merlin, because I also wrote, go back to M and he'll cheer you up. Just go back to Merlin, and with Merlin, always giving his, you're gonna be a great king. You are a great king, better than Uther was. You've brought peace to Camelot. You're always doing what is right. And you're like, good job, Merlin. You're doing your motivational speech as well. It's how you do it. And even with but some people still think you're an arrogant ass or whatever he says. And you feel like, oh, you guys, you're so perfect. I don't know what you thought of that, because you always don't like Arthur being mean, but that was Merlin doing the meanness kind of thing, if you can't call it mean. I wouldn't call it mean. I hate scary movies. So you were all like Paranormal Activity last week, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that Paranormal Activity thing going on, and I didn't like Paranormal Activity. It kept me at the edge of my seat, and I was at the edge of my seat a lot of this, because I'm like, ah, and like, I talked about the music and the tension, like when Arthur and Merlin are talking in the room after when Merlin's like, Arthur, did you look back? When you're talking to your dad, did you look back? And the tension, like the music's all like creating all this tension, and you're like, what's gonna happen? And Arthur's all like knowing he did something bad, and he's like, I may have glanced around, and you're like, oh, Arthur just admitted it, and he looks like he knows he did something wrong, and you're like, oh. Parallels from the labyrinth. So I'm gonna bet that on Tumblr there's gonna be because parallels have been the thing lately. There's totally gonna be a parallel of Merlin and Arthur sitting at that table with their potions, and there's gonna be a parallel the labyrinth with the unicorn episode. I don't remember. I don't want to stop the video to figure it out. But yeah, the one where they go through the labyrinth and they have to drink a potion, and Arthur takes Merlin's. Yeah, there's gonna be something with that. Though when Arthur says it's the foulest thing he's ever tasted, I thought about poor Merlin had to drink, like, you remember that troll episode, Beauty and the Beast, where he had to, like, taste that potion that was made of, like, toad's brain and dung, and I feel sorry for Merlin there still, more so. And I also thought of the last time, he asked if something was safe. It was poison that he had to, for the same episode, it's the troll episode too, I guess he had to drink poison, so Uther would cry. And this is me digressing some more, because that's what I do in my reviews. And when they're searching for Uther after they've drunk it, and Leon comes into him, they look like such guilty boys. They're like, we're not doing anything wrong. What are we doing? Poetry. Definitely poetry. And it's like they're caught doing, like, red-handed for something. And I don't know how that's gonna fuel the Merthyr shippers. That'll be interesting to see. What were they up to? In that net? And now an abandoned corridor? What is going on? I look forward to that. I will giggle with that. I like it. Dude, Uther is creepy. Like, look at this. I don't know. My creepy's got several E's in it. I don't know if you can read it at the bottom, but it's like creepy. Had me jumping all over the place, and poor Gwen. But yeah. Merlin's speeches. Dude, he has so many. Oh, when they're still in the quarter hunting. And he's like, you're a great king, Arthur. You need to rule how you think it. And when did you even care when he was alive, you still did what you thought was right, even when Uther said no. Like, coming to save me, right? When he got poisoned from Merlin, when he went to that place to get Gwen, when there's the Wilder in there, and Lancelot. I think it was the episode Lancelot and Guinevere, wasn't it? Yeah, he always did what he think was right, even when he was a prince. And so you've always got to love Merlin's speeches. Very uplifting, and there's so much bromance to it, you gotta love it. No music is effective, too. So, like I said, the music was adding a lot of tension to it, but after a while I noticed there wasn't any music anymore. And so it's just this silence, and you can tell, like, the people, that upped the tension, too, because you're just creeping around, and you're just waiting for things to make you jump. And I thought it was super effective, because all of a sudden I'm like, it's really quiet. And you always, in the scary movies, it's like, the music builds up, and then it's silence, and something happens. But it was quiet for so long, I'm like, what's gonna happen? And then, of course, like, they're gonna lead Uther to the throne room. I'm like, I should have seen that coming, even with the promo pics with him on the throne. I'm like, of course. And then Uther being a bastard and knocking out his son. I'm like, I know, like, even in the episodes, I think you can tell he's a ghost, and he says that Camelot is more important. But I don't know if he would do that when he's still alive. Arthur was so important to him, and Morgana was, even when she, would crack her head open on the stairs. He was willing to overturn his own laws about magic and let her be saved. He thought Gaius did use magic, so I don't know. It was a little. I know it's probably not far-fetched because they're trying to make him super evil because he's a ghost and he's been in the spirit world, but in the end, he loved Arthur, and I think that should be what resounds, even though he's a douche in this episode. And then with the Uther after he knocked Arthur out, and Merlin's all like, don't kill him or don't touch him or something, you're like, oh! And because all the spoilers are saying there's a big confrontation and all the Merlin lovers are gonna love it, and you're like, oh my goodness, and this is when I have feels. Oh my gosh, I can't. And seriously, you had the reenactment a couple weeks ago. This is me. I'm like, I couldn't say anything. It was blah, and I don't even know what I wrote. I said I had feels. Oh my gosh, I can't. Even when you were something. Even when you. Oh, never mind. That was my quote for something else. But when Merlin says. Because he's like, you're a sorcerer. He's like, and I made you his manservant. He's like, even when you were alive, the heart of Camelot had a magic. Like, magic was in the heart of Camelot. And I'm like, ooh, bam! And I'm like, oh! And I have, like I said, the feels are still here. Obviously, I'm exuding them. They're everywhere. This is going to be a super long review because I've been loving this episode. And then at the end, when Uther's, about to kill Merlin and Arthur comes in and he's all there crying together and you're like, oh, and then they had downplay with humor with the horseplay, and I loved it after he hit Arthur and Arthur turns around and Arthur's like, what are you doing? And Merlin's like, horseplay, and it was great. Yeah, and then next week's episode, okay. And then next week's episode, yeah, I'm excited for that. It looks pretty intense as well. And we get to see Mythian again. Like, I hated her. Dude, it's so hard to hate Mythian, but you want to because you wanted Gwen and Arthur to get together. But I did love Mythian. I'm glad she's coming back. And I'm excited to see what it's about. And now I'm going to send you the link. And I need to stop moving and clapping, but I'm still really excited. I'm probably going to go watch the episode again just because I need to absorb it. And yeah, I will send this and upload this to you and send it to you. And yeah, all these Merlin feels, I hope you have them too. And video me back.